This wasn't a midlife crisis. It was something quieter, more honest. One night we looked at each other and said, "What are we doing all this for?" The house, the bills, the stress. It didn't feel like success anymore. It felt like a trap. This is the story of how we let go of what we thought we needed and found out what actually made us feel rich. On paper, we had everything. 2 careers in consulting, a big house in the suburbs, dinners out, nice vacations. From the outside, you'd never guess something felt wrong. But inside, we were worn thin. The calendar was always full, and yet we felt strangely absent from our own lives. We smiled when we were supposed to, played the part. But there was a quiet ache that started to follow us around. People called us lucky or goals. But sometimes after dinner we'd sit in the silence and realize we didn't feel like either. Success as we'd built it came with a cost we couldn't quite name. Not yet. But we were starting to feel it. Work didn't end at 5. It didn't even end on weekends. We were constantly on, checking emails, answering calls, planning the next thing. Even vacations had an undercurrent of tension, like we were stealing time, not taking it. And somewhere in all of that motion, we started drifting. I don't mean apart exactly, just beside each other. We still loved each other, of course. But connection needs space, and we had none. There were meetings, deadlines, errands, bills. We were keeping up, technically, but it felt more like bracing against a wave than riding it. Our house was beautiful and heavy. Every room was filled with things we'd bought to make the pace feel worth it. But they didn't help. They just multiplied. A new couch meant new pillows. A garden upgrade meant more weekend work. I remember once spending a full Saturday fixing an outdoor lighting system I didn't even like. It sounds ridiculous now, but at the time that was normal. The more we earned, the more we owed. To the house, to expectations, to the idea that all this was leading somewhere, but we never quite arrived. It wasn't dramatic. No fight, no disaster. Just these little moments where something didn't sit right. A quiet dinner where neither of us reached for our phones. A walk where we didn't talk about work. And then one evening, sitting on the porch, Tom said it out loud. "Do you ever feel like we're living someone else's life?" I didn't answer right away, but the question hung there. We both knew. We'd built a version of success that had outgrown us. Or maybe we'd outgrown it. Either way, it didn't fit anymore. Not from outside stress. From that feeling inside, the kind that lingers even when everything looks fine. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart racing with no clear reason. Just a heaviness, a sense that time was slipping past and we were too tangled in the routine to notice. Tom started having headaches. I started forgetting things. It was like our bodies knew before we did. That something had to change. But we didn't know what. We only knew the life we were living was no longer the life we wanted. At first, we chalked it up to stress, deadlines, aging, the industry. Whatever excuse helped us get through another week. We told ourselves it would pass, that a weekend away or a bonus check might fix the fatigue, but it didn't. The days kept coming and the quiet disconnect between us grew. Then one evening after dinner, we just sat there, not talking, not scrolling, just still. And out of nowhere, I said, "I don't think I'm happy." Tom looked at me and I saw the relief in his face, because he felt it too. We weren't burned out. We were misaligned. And admitting that was the first honest thing we'd done in a while. We started noticing it everywhere. That dull, stretched-thin feeling. Friends, neighbors, coworkers, everyone running on empty. No one seemed to be really living, just performing stability. It was like the whole system ran on silent resignation. And we realized the scariest part wasn't our discomfort. It was how easily it blended in. How we'd built our entire life on a story we never paused to question. And if we didn't change something, we were going to keep playing our part until it was too late. That was the night we let the question grow. What if there's another way? What if we just stopped? What if we sold the house? Let go of the full-time grind? It felt outrageous at first, like something only other people got to do. But the more we talked, the more it made sense. We'd been working so hard to maintain a lifestyle we didn't even enjoy. What if we designed a life that actually supported us instead of draining us? That one question started pulling threads, and before we knew it, we were sketching out a real plan. Not a fantasy. Not a midlife crisis. Just a different direction. One that finally felt honest. Selling the house was part of it. But the deeper work was letting go of the identity we'd wrapped around all that stuff. The titles, the furniture, the routines that made us feel competent, but not content. We cleared out closets, sold furniture, gave away boxes of things we hadn't touched in years. There were moments it felt like we were erasing ourselves, but bit by bit, something clearer emerged. We weren't losing status. We were shedding the version of ourselves that was always trying to keep up. And underneath that, we found something we hadn't felt in a long time. Room to breathe. It wasn't an escape. It was a return. We found a small cottage in the Appalachians. Nothing dramatic, just simple and still. The kind of place where mornings stretch out and no one cares what car you drive. At first, it felt too quiet. But then the silence became comforting. We heard birds again, wind through trees, our own thoughts. For the first time in years, there was no performance, just presence. We started walking more, reading more, eating slower. It didn't take long to realize this wasn't a retreat from life. It was a way back into it. We didn't retire. That's what surprises people. We just restructured. We each picked up part-time freelance work, consulting, writing, a few projects here and there. No fixed hours, no long commutes. No meetings that dragged on for no reason. Just focused work we could do from the cottage or the porch. We still use our skills, still solve problems. But now it fits into our life, not the other way around. We used to work to maintain a life we barely had time to live. When we told friends, the reactions were mixed. Some smiled politely. Some asked if we were okay. "What are you going to do all day?" they'd ask. "Won't you get bored?" But boredom never came. What left was the constant low-level stress, the overscheduling, the running just to stay in place. We finally had time, and not the empty kind. The kind that fills up with things you actually care about. We read more, cooked more, listened more. The truth is, we weren't running from anything. We were returning to something we'd almost forgotten, ourselves. There was no master plan, just a quiet agreement to live slower. We started with breakfast, together at the table, no screens. Then a walk after lunch, just through the woods nearby. We'd talk or not. Sometimes silence said more. We rediscovered books, not articles, not summaries, but full, slow stories. There was time again for music, for long emails to old friends, for the kind of conversations we used to save for vacations. The days didn't feel empty. They felt full in a new way. We didn't need a schedule, just attention. And we finally had that. Even when life slowed down, the feeling of rush stayed. For a while, we'd find ourselves checking the time for no reason, eating too fast, trying to optimize our rest. it was almost funny. How wired we were to treat every moment like a task. But slowly we learned to sit in stillness. At first, it felt like failure, like we weren't being productive enough. But the more we let that go, the more we realized urgency isn't always real. Sometimes it's just habit. And once you unlearn it, a different kind of time opens up. One that actually belongs to you. It didn't happen all at once, but little things started shifting. The first time we paid the bills, it didn't feel tight. The first morning we made coffee and just watched the trees instead of reaching for our phones. The first full week, we didn't talk about the news or deadlines or anyone else's chaos. These weren't dramatic moments, but they felt huge. Each one a reminder that our new life was working, not in theory, but in practice. Not as an escape, but as a return to what mattered. We weren't chasing anything. We were here. Finally. It didn't take long to settle into a new pace. We each found a few part-time projects, consulting, mentoring, editing, things that used our experience but didn't drain us. About 10 to 15 hours a week on our own terms. No offices, no commutes, no pretending we cared about performance reviews. The work wasn't about climbing anymore. It was about contributing, staying engaged, and keeping a bit of structure. It wasn't flashy, and that was the point. We chose work that matched our values, not just our resumes. And for the first time, it actually felt like a choice. Most mornings now, we wake up with the sun. No alarm, no meetings waiting. We make coffee, sometimes in silence, sometimes mid-conversation from the night before. We walk through the woods behind the house. It's quiet out here, not empty, just still. We cook more, eat slower, read in the afternoon. Sometimes we just sit. Not because there's nothing to say, but because silence finally feels natural. We used to plan our days around obligations. Now we shape them around what matters and leave space for what might arise. That space has become its own kind of wealth. We haven't stopped working. We're not against it. But the role it plays is completely different now. We choose projects based on whether they fit our life, not the other way around. There's no pressure to grow, no chasing relevance, no performance metrics. Just good solid work when it makes sense, and when it doesn't, we pause. That single shift, from work being the center to being a part, changed everything. It gave us room to breathe. And when you stop living to support your job, you realize how much more life there is to support. We earn a lot less now, but we also need a lot less. That trade-off scared us at first, but the math turned out simpler than we thought. Without the big house, the 2 cars, the constant upgrades, and dinners out, expenses dropped fast. What we gave up in income, we made back in clarity. We still budget, still plan, but nothing feels heavy anymore. There's no lifestyle to maintain, just a life to enjoy. And the freedom that comes with that, you can't buy it, but you can choose it. That was the lesson. Less pressure, more room to live. We assumed slowing down would make us feel old, that we'd get bored, stiff, maybe even a little invisible. But the opposite happened. Without the noise, our energy came back. Not the frantic kind, the steady, grounded kind. We sleep better, think clearer. We're more curious again. I pick up books I wouldn't have touched in my 30s. Elaine started writing again. It's like something came back online. Something quiet but powerful. Maybe it was always there, just buried. Whatever it is, it doesn't feel like winding down. It feels like waking up. Like finally being here, fully. This isn't some picture-perfect resolution. We didn't move to the mountains and magically become different people. There are still hard days, still questions about the future, still moments where we wonder if we've done enough, saved enough, prepared enough. But there's a difference now. We're no longer living on autopilot. We're not following a script written by someone else. Every choice we make is conscious. Every day feels like it belongs to us. And even when it's uncertain, it feels real. That alone makes the hard parts easier to bear, knowing we're finally steering our own ship. We get that question a lot. Do you miss the old house, the job, the energy of it all? And the honest answer is, no, we really don't. We miss some people, sure, colleagues, neighbors, even certain routines. But the pace, the pressure, the constant feeling that we were performing rather than living, that part we don't miss at all. We didn't realize how much it was costing us until we let it go. Now, even when things are quieter, simpler, we feel more like ourselves. And that's not something we're willing to trade back. We may not have the same income we once did, but we feel wealthy now in ways that actually count. We have time. We have each other. We have our health and enough space to live without always rushing through it. We can sit down for a meal and stay at the table. We can read for hours or walk without a destination. We traded the symbols of success for the experience of peace. And it turns out peace is the rarer thing, the more valuable thing. We didn't expect to feel this rich. But once we did, we knew we couldn't go back. We had to live that old life to understand it wasn't for us. And we don't resent it. It taught us a lot. About drive. About resilience. Even about what we didn't want. But if we could talk to our younger selves, or to anyone feeling that same quiet fatigue, we'd say, don't ignore it. That feeling isn't failure. It's wisdom trying to reach you. You don't have to blow up your life overnight, but you can start listening. Start questioning. Start stepping, even slowly, towards something gentler. Life's too short to live it like a to-do list. Turns out, less really was more. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt the pull to slow down, step back, or build a life that feels more like yours, we'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment and tell us, what would less but better look like for you? And what's one change you've been quietly considering? If you found something valuable here, consider liking the video and subscribing. We share honest stories for people navigating change, gently and on their own terms. And if you haven't seen it yet, our last video features Peter, an architect who left the city at 62 and finally found peace in the quiet. His story is just as grounded.